It's Tuesday with Thompson. The PT's in the house. It's brought to you by Matt Blatt Kia. They want to get you approved today. Visit Matt Blatt Kia, the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. We'll get the PT's reaction to that Eagles loss. Was it a good loss, a bad loss? And then with the Cowboys last night, does that change the way you look at this team moving forward? I guess it has to. I mean, that NFC East is really, really bad. Let's get the PT's thoughts. Pete Thompson is in the house today. It's a Tuesday with Thompson. Peter?
Hello, Michael. How are you? Hunter, happy Tuesday to you guys. I mean, no loss is a good loss, but I mean, you're right. With what Dallas threw up last night and the dumpster fire that appears to be taking place in Dallas with them questioning their coach and stuff, maybe there is a chance. I listened a little bit in the car on the way home, and I heard you guys talking about the least number of wins that could win the division. I mean, it's unbelievable that this is a year that less than 500 could win.
Well, I think less than 500 most likely will win. Let me ask you, I watched the game. It's third. I don't even know how they got back in this game. At one point, they had a chance to make that 2-point conversion, and they get a chance to tie that game up. And I was actually laughing. I said, knowing the Eagles in 2020, they'll tie the game up, and they'll tie and end up with 2 ties. When was the last time someone had 2 ties in a season? But my point is, they fought back against a very good Baltimore team. And the week before, I mean, they kind of hung in there with I've seen power rankings out there have Pittsburgh number 1. So they've had 2 back-to-back weeks playing some good Super Bowl contending teams that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they kind of hung in there with.
Yeah, and I think the people that were on the bandwagon of ripping Carson Wentz and how pathetic he is have to at least acknowledge, maybe they're not going to hold a parade for the guy, but at least acknowledge his role in bringing them back in that game and everything that he did with, C and D list players. Once again, there's a guy catching a touchdown that you have to go to your chart and then Twitter and Google and find out who the hell he is, Kroom, right? I mean, that was a late bring up from the practice squad or from, the depths, right? I mean, who are some of these guys is what they're doing it with. And, now you see the news about Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders, and they might have to go again on Thursday and try to do it with the cast of nobodies. I mean, you can't blame Carson Wentz for them not winning the game against Baltimore. What you can blame is, key drops at key times. I mean, I was actually shocked they went back to Hightower again, but because that drop he had in the first half was brutal. That is a touchdown, hands down, no doubt about it. And he just dropped it. I mean, and then later on when they went back to him, I think I even tweeted something out and said he couldn't catch a ball when he was wide open. Why would you go back to him on a contested play? But he did catch a 40-yarder later in the game. So, I mean, I guess you give a guy another chance. But, man, the first half was brutal, right? No points in the first half, and then they somehow started to worm their way back into it and damn near could have done it, except Doug and the play calling got in the way. That RPO at that point was awful. I'm screaming at the television. Other teams, good NFL teams, seem to have a plan, and they get in and they know what they're doing. You almost thought they were going to call timeout. All right, well, the play clock's winding down. They're going to call timeout and figure out what the hell they're doing. Nope, we're just going to hike it and then pretend like we're going to put the running backs, but maybe we're not. But what do we do? Okay, that's it. What the heck was that?
Yeah, and to be fair, the 2-minute warning was in play as well. It was definitely wonky towards the end, but I think it's perfect that you brought up Doug Peterson because I get very frustrated with him. I do think at times the offense is vanilla, but you have so many practice squad guys in there. You got to kind of keep it, reasonable for these guys. There's so much in play. There are times, though, where he irritates me. For example, you need to know, driving down the field in that scenario, what you're going to be doing. You need to think 3 steps ahead as a head coach. When we score here, I know we're doing this play for the 2-point conversion. It should already be known. But then we brought up Dallas already. You look at what's going on there, and you see a lot of injuries forcing a team to just be a dumpster fire, and that's where I credit Doug Peterson. So when you see it from that aspect, and then you also see the mistakes that irritate you on the field on a Sunday, where are you right now with Doug Peterson?
I mean, there's 2 sides of Doug, right? The number one thing is that, and to talk about the Dallas situation, is you get the idea that players in the Philadelphia Eagles have not given up on Doug. They're not questioning his leadership, and he's able to somehow get them to play for him. still, even when it's like the 8th linebacker down the chart. Like, he gets that guy to play for him. On the flip side of things, this is another game here where he's gone by, the one time when he punted the ball, it was a Monday where everybody said, what the hell? And he goes, well, upon further review, I probably should have tried to throw it. Well, then here, again, he gets on the air on Monday and says, you know what? I should have probably called the timeout. Dude, you're the head coach. Like you said, Hunter, you have to be thinking about those scenarios. This is why we pay you the big bucks, to envision, the whole chessboard. And if this moves here, this is going to move here. This is why you're supposed to – there's only, 32 jobs of those available in the league, right? This is why you're getting that money, to make those decisions. And that's twice now that he's failed on that. So, it's plus and minus. They haven't given up on him, so I think that's a plus. But I certainly do think he misses some of his lieutenants that get in his ear and tell him what to do.
All right, here's a question that a lot of people are wondering. Do we even want the Eagles to make the playoffs? Have you gone down that road yet, where you're like, you know what, let's punt it this year and get some, to me, PT, the difference between the 10th pick and the 15th, 16th, 17th pick, the NFL's a lot. There's a lot of depth. I don't know how deep this draft is. I think it's going to be wonky with the COVID and this whole situation. But, unless you're shopping for a quarterback at the top of that draft, you're going to get a player that you like, whether you get him at 10, 15, 17, 8. You know what I mean?
I also think there's another reason to make the playoffs is the fact that you saw last year where they rallied to make the playoffs, and there's a bunch of young guys, and even though they lost, those guys got a playoff game under their belt and playoff experience. And playoffs are completely different than a regular season game. You've mentioned, and I heard you guys talking about some of the linemen, the Jack Driscolls of the world, the Nate Herbig's of the world. These guys are babies, and they're basically baptism by fire right now. And I think that would be like both the reward and maybe the punishment if they make the postseason with guys like that, because the reward would be, hey, look at what we did. We rallied together and we found a way, after starting off 1-4-1, to find a way to get into the postseason. And the flip side of that is if they go in the postseason, they just get waxed. Yeah, you do kind of walk away going like, well, gee, did that have any benefit? Or, what's the point of going out there and getting
Well, what's the difference? You get waxed, or if you lose 17-9 like you did last year? You were in the game, your quarterback gets hurt. Who knows? Maybe if Wentz doesn't get hurt, you win that game and you go on to play the next week.
I'm in the category of that. You have to have a lottery. You have to have a ticket. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, right? Well, you can't win the Super Bowl if you're not in the postseason. So I'm all about, look, there is never a time that I'm going to say, no, they should play for a higher draft pick. You're never going to hear me say that, ever. They should, there's only so many games. They should always try. And the window is only open so many times. You should always try to get into the postseason and then see what you can do.
Absolutely, yeah. Valuing that playoff game. Let's say they do win one game if they make it there. The excitement around the city, everything involved with the atmosphere.
Well, if somebody texted in, no fans will be at those games most likely.
No way. There'd be fans in a playoff game. You don't think by then there would be even more fans than what there is now? 5,000?
Well, there's already fans there now. And
right.
By the way, before I came on the air with you guys, my dad forwarded me his email that he got from the Eagles. Now, remember, for the first two games, which were the Ravens game and now the Giants game, he got that window of 9 to 11 in the morning. So his second window here, and it's a second pair of games, Eagles-Cowboys on November 1st, Eagles-Seahawks November 30th. So he forwards me the email, and to my brother and sister-in-law too. He got 3 to 5. So his quick message at the top was, well, let's see if your time is any better than our time, right? And then my sister-in-law literally just came in and said, we're at 11. So they got 11 to 1. So her times are better, so, they're going to try to go through her portal to get the tickets.
Now,
will there be fans there? Yes. But
there was fans there last week. It's inconsequential. You got 7,000 people in the seats. That's not making a playoff atmosphere.
I wonder if by then maybe it's 10,000, 15,000. I don't know.
Even if it's 25,000.
You don't think that's an
the
impact?
place is half empty. Not even more. It's more than half empty.
25, though.
It's not 66,000. I see your point, Gil. It's not like – or Seattle. The Seattle games have been weird. The opposing team that plays in Seattle can hear themselves. They can actually call audible.
Did you see the commercial they ran the other night? I think it was last night during the Monday night game. There was a commercial, and I think it was J.J. Watt, and he's sitting on the bench. He's like, this is really eerie. They're sitting in an empty place playing. I mean, it's like, should we even be in here? Like, are we allowed in? It's like you snuck in on your neighbor's yard because they had the cool yard that you could play football in while they were at. We used to do that when we were kids. We rode our bike around, found someone who had an empty driveway. We'd shoot hoops there until the person got home, then we'd get on our bikes and scurry on out of there,
All my coworkers and I had a debate yesterday when we realized that the first game was starting at 5, why they didn't always start Monday Night Football at 5. Why do they have
That's
to
when
wait
you know
till
you're
that
getting
day?
old, PT, when you're like, I want the games on at 5 o'clock.
That's right. So I go to bed at 10.
Well, I wanted to start at 5, but I also want that second game. I want the double dip.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. I know. I can't stay up that late. I didn't stay up for the second half of the Cowboys game last night. I went to bed at halftime.
Real quick, PT, not to get too sidetracked. Doc, did we talk to you about Doc Emerick yet?
No, we haven't talked about that. I was sad to see that yesterday. I get in my teaching mode where I'm instructing the youth of the future there, and yesterday I was doing that, kicking along, and I pick up my phone. Like, basically, I hadn't looked at my phone from 8 o'clock till noon, and I pick up my phone when I'm eating lunch, and I'm like, oh, man, there he goes. Like, that was really sad for me to see. I'm lucky to have met him a few times. I mean, I crossed paths with him a bunch in press boxes and hallways and stuff, but there was one time where we went up to the game with Coatsy, and I was talking about Doc because it was a Wednesday night game, and he said something like, we started at the same time, and he was around, blah, blah. So I made those two stand together for a picture. So because Coatsy and Doc Emerick took a picture together, then, of course, just, hey, why don't we just switch places here, and I'll jump in. So, yeah, look, there was nobody like Doc.
Hunter says he thought he was losing a step this year.
There's a factor to this, though. I do still stand behind this, but Durso made a great point. He was doing the games from home, and there was like a weird
monitors. You couldn't see all the angles.
There were some weird delays where they would score, and then 5 seconds later, you hear his reaction to the score.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was a pretty good Emerick right there, was it not, Josh? On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give him? 7?
7's good.
I
7's
thought it was
good.
pretty good.
Thank you.
Want to try it again?
No.
The line Michael always uses, because Doc did a thing for like NBC Sports Philly, and he always uses, they called it the Spectrum, and because he was like a retro back.
Now, who was that supposed to be?
That was supposed to be Doc.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
That was like a 2.
Yeah.
It was like a 2.
Yeah. Try harder next time.
Thanks, guys. I'm not an impersonationist. I do the lyric change. That's my shtick.
Yeah, try harder.
Anyhow, Doc Emerick is going to be missed to me. I mean, the guy used more action verbs, shuttles the puck, ladles it over, pitchforks it. All the words that he used to describe the action were unbelievable, And plus, he was a heck of a nice guy when I got to meet him. So he's going to be missed.
Thursday night, PT, when we have you on for Happy Hour Friday, will we be talking about a dub, or are we going to be talking about one of the somebody texted in for Ask Mike and Broads, what if the Eagles lose? I said, that's on a scale of 1 to 10, that'd be a 10.
100%. You cannot lose to basically what could have been a winless team if Riverboat Ron wasn't Riverboat Ron, right? I mean, you got the feel like I couldn't believe it. Well, yeah, of course I could. You play to win the game, right? Like the Washington football team goes and scores that late score and then decides to go for 2 and wah wah wah. No, look, we're going to be talking about a win. When you talk to me on Friday, we're going to be talking about a win because I have to collect $5 from my doctor who I went and saw today, my bariatric guy. I have to collect something from Ari over at Tailgaters, right? All these places, all these Giants fans out there that are trying to get in my grill now that because the Giants got gifted 1 win. We're coming for you, baby. We're not afraid.
I like that. All right, a little bravado from the PT. Hey, PT, it was good to see you the other day in the flesh for the first time, I think, in the year 2020.
That was an epic party that you had, sir. I thank you so much for the invite. I sampled a little bit of everything. I thought the brisket was outstanding.
Wow, he went brisket too.
Yeah, I got to visit with your mother. I got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time. I love the music. Keep bringing that guy back. Live music. And I loved your boy Joey, who said, this is the best concert I've been to in months. When the reality
I love that he went he said, thanks for having me, Coach. He went coach on you.
Oh, the guitar player.
Yeah, the guitar player. Coach, can you hear me out there when he was making sure everything sounded good?
He was a member of a team that went to the World Series for us. And then all of a sudden he turned into a great, phenomenal vocalist.
Yeah, he was good. He was very solid.
Yep, I very much enjoyed that. So thank you, Mike Gill. Have another party, and maybe this time Josh won't miss it. Ooh, too soon.
He had his reasons. It was a valid one. It wasn't like a PT one who just doesn't show. All right.
Well, I showed to this one.
He did. All right, Peter, we'll talk to you Friday.
Yeah, looking forward to it, boys. Take care.
All right, that's a Tuesday with Thompson. How about that?
How about
took
that
a shot at Josh.
That was a horrendous shot to take. I'm almost pissed off about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you should be.
Should you? Are you a little fired up for that?
Yeah, especially coming from him who bails on everything.
I am just stunned. Did he forget?
I don't know. He likes a little bravado behind those Eagles, though.
Yeah, how about that?